Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Today we'll be reacting to what will the world look like in 250 million years. This is a Jay Foreman video, and it's gonna be fun. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because we do lots of types of reactions just like this one. Love Jay Foreman. He is probably one of my favorite channels right now. You got to go subscribe to him. He puts out content very seldomly, but when he does put it out, quality over quantity. So let's hit it. Let's go. Here we go.
Is brought to you by Stereo.
Peru next to Australia,
Mozambique joined to India.
Malaysia in Antarctica.
Today we'll be asking, where will the countries be in 250 million years?
Welcome to MapMen.
We're the men.
And here's the map.
Before we get into it, this is going to be an interesting synopsis just based off of, obviously, that was Pangaea. And I wonder, was that 250 million years ago? Is that why we're doing a parallel conversation here? Not sure, but I'm sure we'll talk about it. Also, you know, we won't be here in 250 million years. We won't even be here in 250 years. I'm not talking about humanity. I'm talking about me and you watching this video. But still something fun to think about.
When Mark and I hang out together, one of the things we often discuss...
We never hang out. This is a purely business relationship.
One of the things
Hilarious, bro.
we would discuss is how disappointingly few double landlocked countries there are. Countries that are not only landlocked, but surrounded by landlocked countries.
There's Uzbekistan, there's Liechtenstein, and that's it.
This is because the
That's it. Oh my god. And Liechtenstein's more or less like a... It's a weird one.
world's major landmasses are nicely spread out across the world's oceans, and the furthest you can ever get from a coast is the world's major landmasses are nicely spread out across the world's oceans.
Well, it's a combination of that and the fact of having access to the sea is really important for countries to thrive.
And the furthest you can ever get from a coastline is just 1,600 miles, here in the un-Chinese sounding Gurban-Tungut Desert in China.
But the continents haven't always been this well socially distanced.
180 million years ago, before the Second and First World Wars, the world looked like
Just letting you guys know, this was also before the Revolutionary War as well.
this.
Of course, the dinosaurs who were in charge at the time knew nothing of the theory of plate tectonics that were about to drive them apart.
It wasn't until the
I mean, these are the reason all of these
At the
videos.
time knew nothing of the theory of plate
They put an old man on the dinosaur.
tectonics that were about to drive them apart.
It wasn't until the year 1915 collided with the person Alfred Wegener that this new and groundbreaking idea took hold. Alfred was a super smart German meteorologist and geophysicist who was particularly good at puzzles. And looking at the world map, Alfred spotted a pattern. The shape of South America fits suspiciously snugly into West Africa. Could it be that the continents fitted together in a sort of puzzle of their own?
Many of the pieces of this puzzle were missing, having been eroded over millions of years. But Alfred realised this particular puzzle had legacy written all over it and set out to prove that their interlocking shapes weren't a coincidence.
He started by looking at rocks and realised that the rocks on the east coast of South America were, in many places, identical to the rocks on the west coast of Africa. An encouraging bit of evidence, but rocks alone weren't solid enough. So next, Alfred studied the fossil record.
There was evidence of the exact same species of dinosaur living on separate continents, vast oceans apart. He found fossils of the Lystrosaurus in Africa, Antarctica, and here in India.
It's so weird to think about there are fossils of dinosaurs in Antarctica. Just such a... It's hard to wrap your mind around that.
It was thunderingly unlikely that this unique Triassic animal could have evolved on
That had to be a green screen, right? Let's go back.
Apart. He found fossils of the Lystrosaurus in Africa, Antarctica, and here in India.
That's a green screen. That's gotta be... I don't know. That's neither one of them. Such effort. Such effort.
It was thunderingly unlikely that this unique Triassic animal could have evolved on 3 separate occasions. The more logical explanation was that these landmasses must once have been connected.
Thunderingly.
Using his new theory called continental drift, or Kontinentalverschiebung for long, Wegener mapped exactly how the continents fitted together millions of years ago.
He called this supercontinent Pangaea.
Greek for all the earth.
The theory went thus. North and South America were once attached to modern-day Africa, but they broke apart, forming the Atlantic Ocean.
And India was once attached to Antarctica, but it broke off and smashed into Asia with such force it made the Himalayan mountain range. Everyone else at the time roundly disagreed with him, as at the time people always do. He froze to death in Greenland before anyone took his stupid theory seriously.
Poor guy.
But years later, while he was still dead, scientists happened upon something that proved Alfred was right. They discovered how continents were able to move, something Alfred had never bothered to work out. They found that convection currents in the mantle, or hot bit beneath the Earth's crust, slowly drive land masses apart, then back together again, over cycles of about 500 million years.
This meant that Pangaea, far from being the original supercontinent, was actually the 11th to have formed in Earth's history.
So if the continents are still moving, which they are, the obvious and exciting question becomes,
When are the dinosaurs coming back?
where
Jurassic Park. I had a thought here before you said that. Is one thing that's going to be interesting to see is this theory, the theory of continental drift, does that predate the theory of tectonic plates? Does that predate how we study earthquakes? Does it or does it not?
are the continents going next?
The best way of understanding where we might end up is to take a good look at which way the convection currents are currently flowing all under the world.
And where better to start than the most tectonically active place on the planet? The Australia plate has, as you can see, moved northwards a massive 3.5 metres in the last 50 years. At 7 centimetres a year, this makes it the fastest moving tectonic plate on Earth.
Whew. That is pretty fast.
This movement is actually causing chaos on GPS systems here in Australia. The data points still used
What do you mean here in Australia? It snows in Australia? Is it really?
today were fixed way back in 1994 when the country was a full
Frozen. Why am I so gullible? He's in freaking England.
1.8 metres further southwest than it is now, which can be the difference between the right lane and the pavement.
The effects of Australia's movement are already being felt across fiery Indonesia, where the subduction of the Australia plate under the Sunda plate has forged some of the most active volcanoes in the world, like Mount Merapi, which some of the best people in the world are known to have climbed. As Australia continues north, it's expected to make a handbrake turn to the left as it gobbles up Papua New Guinea before absolutely smashing into China. So Beijing and Shanghai may find themselves 8,000 metres up on top of a new mountain range as big as the Himalayas.
That's so cool. Not the death and destruction part, but that's just such a cool, like, that is actually what's happening, and we know that is what is happening. It's just a cool thing to know.
Meanwhile, in the Western Hemisphere, the Nubian and Somali plates will split apart along the East African Rift Valley, a process which has already begun, as demonstrated by this massive crack which appeared in Kenya in 2018.
That's scary. That's like 2012 looking stuff right there.
Over the next few million years, we can expect a new sea to appear here. The big bit of Africa will continue to head north towards Europe, so get ready for the Alps to get bigger and the Mediterranean to disappear.
Somewhere between 1 and 200 million years from now, and yes, that really is the kind of margin for error we're dealing with, Antarctica will slowly make its way to join the big collision party alongside Australia and Southeast Asia.
Leaving only the Americas, which are travelling in a westerly direction, widening the Atlantic and shrinking the
But it's a globe, so it's going to get closer to Asia.
Pacific into non-existence. You can see North America here, nicely spooning Australia, with South America cozying up to now.
So it's basically, you know, Newton, isn't it? I forget. My brain is fried right now. But basically, like Newton's law, every action has an equal and opposite equal reaction. So as it expands, it will also contract, expand, contract. So previous cycle, so these are cycles perhaps. So the cycle of continental drift had Pangaea, and they just said before this there was 11 previous to Pangaea. So you had Pangaea, then you have what we have today, and then you're going to have another Pangaea, and then it's going to keep doing this. Basically, right?
Now tropical Antarctica, finishing off our big continental group hug.
Aw, isn't that nice? Scientists call this future supercontinent Novo Pangaea.
Latin and Greek
New Pangaea.
for new all the Earth.
Imagine that, one happy connected island with no oceans to divide us. But how sure can we be that this is exactly how it's going to pan out?
Positively unsure. Even with all the data and powerful computer modelling in the world, there's a decent chance the experts have got it wrong.
Novo Pangaea is merely what would happen if the convection currents in the mantle carry on exactly as they are and don't change. But some really radical scientists have come up with some different models for how the world could look.
First there's Aurica, where Eurasia splits in half and both the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans close up.
Then there's Pangaea Ultima, the name which sounds most like a terrible Bond film, where Britain gets closer to America.
And finally, there's Amasia, where all the continents congregate around the North Pole, except Antarctica, who, no matter what the model is always the laziest continent. Watching the world's land masses slowly cycle around the globe as millions of years tick by is a nice reminder of our own utterly insignificant place within the universe.
Which is why we recommend sharing this video with any self-important friends you may have as a way of reminding them how crushingly unimportant they really are.
Of course, wondering where countries will be in 250 million years assumes countries and even humans will last that long.
Right now, it seems the chances of us surviving more than a few meters of continental drift are incredibly unlikely, as we grapple with overpopulation, climate change, pandemics, wars, pollution, and mass extinction.
But if we do somehow survive and find ourselves living side by side on a supercontinent packed with double landlocked countries, we're at least going to have to figure out how to be nicer to one another and extend the olive branch of human friendship.
250 million years is like 250, isn't it like 250x, 250 or 2500x, or it's either 2500x or 250,000x what humans have lived. So like it's not even like a, I don't know. And that's like this version of their Nova Pangaea, because during that 250 million years, it doesn't just do that. You're gonna have like, it's gonna be an evolvement of that process.
So, fancy a pint?
I'm not really thirsty.
Okay, so that's the video. However, I was told to watch. One of the commenters, you guys know who you are, told me to watch the adverts or the end of these videos as well. So that's what we're gonna do. If you're just here for the history, thank you guys so much for joining me. If you want to watch this with me, let's keep watching.
Oh good, it's time for my favourite part of Map Men, the silly advert at the end.
Hello everyone, there's no advert this week.
What? Why?
Because this time we want to tell you about a new thing Mark and I have been working on.
Okay.
Mark and I have got a new spin-off show on Stereo.
But it's not an advert.
Stereo is a free app that live streams audio conversations between two people and lets you interact and leave voice comments. Once you've designed your avatar, you can listen to conversations from all across the world and swipe to try a new chat at any time. Start your own broadcast either by linking up with someone you know, or Stereo will link you up with another random user.
So it's like a more interactive version of live radio, as well as the perfect place to meet your future soulmate.
And it's the perfect place to get more Map Men. We've done 2 shows already, with Mark and me having our first ever non-scripted conversation. Stick around for a snippet from our broadcast at the end of this video.
Well, I have always wanted to see what the Map Men are really like. How do I listen?
Download the free Stereo app onto your smartphone. Then, on Monday the 15th of February, just before 6:30 PM UK time, click the link in the description below to join the show.
But it's Thursday the 24th of January 2086.
If you missed the live show, we've put a link in the description below where you can catch up and listen again.
Good. It'll be nice to relive the old days when Mark and Jay were still alive.
So,
God dang!
download Stereo now and join the massive worldwide conversation.
I will. But I wish you could have done an advert rather than just telling me about it.
You and I sort of look, when it comes to cartoons and distinguishing features and, descriptions you'd give to the police, we look more.
Okay, I think that's it. And then they have this little version right here. I think that's the end of the video, though. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you guys have a video you want me to react to. Until next time, peace out. Bye-bye.